What's up, y'all? We're going to get right into it. We have another Nolan Wells update. So let's go ahead and get into it. But before I do, go ahead and hit that like button. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe because it costs you $0. So let's go ahead and get into this Nolan Wells updates. There has been so much of information that has been coming out. So many content creators have been putting out information. The last I spoke on this Nolan Wells update was the attorney Ben Crump had did a interview, basically a press conference, I should say, discussing the autopsy. So now we have moved to them dissecting that seaboat call. So for some of you who have been living underneath of a rock and you haven't really been following this case, so basically there was a seaboat 911 call that the people on the boat or the boys on the boat made. Okay, and in this seaboat call, they were basically requesting help because it seemed like their boat may have had some mechanical issues. Maybe they were taking in some water. Not really sure, because I don't think they ever really got the help. They denied the Coast Guard help, which was really weird, because if you're in an emergency situation, you should want all the help that you can get. But nonetheless, during this seaboat call, you can kind of hear some other noise or other conversations being had in the background, right? So there was a lady, a black lady, whose profession, I forgot what you call those people who go in and, like, when they have like court proceedings or anything like that, and they bring in experts who basically analyze and dissect audio, either on phone calls or things of that nature. So this black lady had went in and basically broke down and dissected that audio call. And from that audio call, we kind of heard, suspecting, allegedly, somebody in the background making some statements about Nolan being dead. And the person saying the word Bart. Now, we know Bart was one of the boys who were on the boat. And from my understanding, Bart has basically lured up, like they all have, and they're basically not really saying anything. And I believe one of the boys' father is now talking about possibly bringing a lawsuit against Ben Crump for discrimination. And I'm like, how? How? Because you're upset and you're mad that people want to find out the truth. So you're suing because you're not giving us any information. We still haven't heard from any of the police that's investigating, whether it be the FBI or the local police. All of the boys who were involved on that boat have deleted all their Instagram and social media accounts. They've all lawyered up, so nobody is not speaking or saying anything. So basically what we have is speculation, and from the little bit of information that we can gather, people have kind of just been putting together this case. So I don't see where anybody is doing any type of slandering or anything like that. You know, I think people are basically looking at this like, okay, it's very suspicious. It's very suspicious that you have a group of friends who all went out on apparently what seemed like a good time on the river or on the lake. You know, this is something that is done annually there, and, you know, they all went out to have a good time, and one of the people didn't come back. And you mean to tell me, out of thousands of people that were on that water, according to the friend who basically gave an interview with Race Batum Tatum, basically said that there were so many people out there on that river that is a natural occurrence thing, and nobody saw what happened to Nolan. I mean, come on, y'all. We have to use common sense where we use common sense. You know, that's like me going to Disney World and just disappearing. Out of all those people, nobody saw me just disappear if I went to Disney World. Come on now. I think the pressure is weighing on these people. And this is a prime example, like I said before in a previous video, this is a prime example of how white supremacy gets on cold, y'all. I want y'all to pay attention, because so many times we've heard about it and we kind of brush it off because it's never really blatantly in our faces. But right now, this is in our face. We are witnessing in real time how officials and how these white people get on code with each other. Nobody is not saying anything. How do you not want to find justice for your friend? This looks very suspicious, and it makes y'all look guilty to a certain degree. Now, I'm not saying that they actually did something. Maybe it could be a possibility that Nolan actually had an accident, right? But my thing is, if Nolan truly had an accident, why didn't anybody call the police? Like, this case is not making sense. It's all over the place. I know now that they are waiting for the toxicology report to come in. Basically the second autopsy was inconclusive because we know that there were pieces of the throat that were missing. So, I mean, this whole case smells like one big ass cover up. And I've said this before. It seems like it's a big ass cover up, and nobody wants to really speak on exactly what happened to Nolan. And that's a sad case, because Nolan is the one who's not getting any justice. He's the one that's not getting any justice. I know if it was my friend, I would want all the justice that I could for my friend. So y'all not wanting to speak to the police or at least give your account of what happened that day seems very suspicious. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of people are looking at that, and that's what we are basing our judgment on. We're not basing our judgment on anything but your actions. And your actions are showing us that something else happened on that boat that you don't want us to know about, because it could possibly basically give y'all some type of jail sentence time. This case has really opened eyes to a lot of people on how injustice our so-called justice system is, how it is there to protect a certain people of a certain race. And it just shows you how much we have to fight. Now, just think if we didn't have social media in these times, how shit would have went, or how shit could have possibly went. And just think of how shit went back in the day when there wasn't no thing as social media. You know what I'm saying? You got people who are amateur detectives who are finding out more clues to this case than the goddamn officials are. And I have a problem with that, because the justice system is supposed to be justice for all, not just a two-tier justice where it's justice for one group of people and then the other group of people you go by another set of laws. That's not how that works. But as usual, we're going to stay on this case. We're not letting up. We're not keeping our foot off the gas. It is all go. I will be back for more updates. Y'all stay tuned. Like, share, and also comment. Let me know what you think. How do you feel about this Nolan Wells case thus far and everything that we have heard of? I'll be back for more. Peace.